conservative views. The first of its kind on the Millennium News 24 and the Millennium TV 24 network. We will conceptualize and debate the rights and wrongs of the society, and together we will build the new American perspective and share it with the rest of the world. You can tune in on all iOS and Android platforms, branded smart TVs, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. If you're around the world, Horizon Satellite. If you're in Europe or Australia, the Sky Network. Tune in to MillenniumNews24.com or MillenniumTV24.com. All social media, Millennium News 24. We're live and have the podcast at the same time. I am a citizen, and this is our perspective. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Super Dr. Butler over there. I forgot to put on a little lipstick with my get up here. Okay. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Jania Butler, Fly Girl Lady J, here with my co-host over there, A.B. Butler, with the G-Check today. We've got so much to talk about. First, let me ask you around the world, how have you been, good people? How have you been out there? Where are you tapping in from? Let us know where you're coming from, what we're talking about today. You all right over there, Dr. Butler? You seem like you losing it.
No, I'm not losing it.
What, you all right?
I'm good. Why you sound so low?
I sound low?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can how's that? Is that better? I got a little pink thing here. But how's everybody doing? You can't hear me?
You sound low.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe they can fix it on their end, because I'm up loud and proud here talking about the good stuff. So, okay, so let's get right into it. So what we got going on across New York City? Is crazy right now. So, Mom Dami, okay, our maybe new mayor, and I have to say, maybe this is going to be our new mayor, okay? But Mom Dami is stirring up everything across the country, okay? So Mom Dami, Zohran Mamdani, the Democratic socialist that is running for mayor, that won the Democratic primary about a month ago, beat Cuomo and about 7 other people out of the race, okay? Mamdani, he is now the front runner. He's got about 40% of the expected vote in the polls. Now they're saying that this may be anybody's race. So who do we have in the race still standing? We've got Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York, who lost the Democratic primary to Mamdani. We've got the current mayor, the incumbent, Mayor Adams, who just now got denied for his matching funds. So now that's a big, huge blow to his campaign, because him getting denied the matching funds means so much stuff. That means that everybody else has got millions of dollars. Remember our 8-to-1. If a New Yorker gives you up to $260, you can get 8 times that matching funds. So now Mayor Adams does not have that. They are saying that, no, Adams, you can't get it. They're still mad at him because of his Trump player days when he got out of jail. And we gotta, he's Teflon Don for that. I call Puffy Teflon Don. But Mayor Adams then got out of a whole indictment and Trump let him go. So we gotta give him Teflon Don status too. But he gets out of that. Then what he does is he actually, but he's not getting his matching funds. So that means he will not be able to run commercials back to back to back to back like he wants to. And then you've got Mom Dami, who's got the social media
On
aspect,
Smash.
yeah, on Smash. So those young people got that social media and the algorithm together, and that's what they're not able to beat. And then you got the guardian angel Curtis Sewell. So what I want you to G check right now, Dr. Butler, is the guardian angels. Tell me what you remember about the guardian angels and our man Curtis Sewell, who is running, who been out in the streets forever. Tell me, New York City with the guardian angels back in the day.
Well, back in the days, I know they was definitely guarding the trains because a lot of people used to get stick up on them
Mm,
trains.
mm, mm.
So, that's where I remember them from. Because I remember a guy from around my way. He came to me. He lived on my block. He said, "I'm a guardian angel." I said, "Oh,
Really?
you're an angel now. Okay." And then I used to see them on the train all the time, but I never paid no attention. What goes on goes on. They didn't stop nothing when we was out there. So, that's what they known for.
Uh-huh.
Stopping the drama.
Stopping the drama. And so now, what do you think about this guy who's been a guardian angel, pretty much the duration of his New York City life, at least 40, 50 years he's been out there on the streets. What do you think about him, now running for mayor and overseeing the city? Do you trust it? What is your feelings?
I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a big G check. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Please.
I don't trust none of them.
Okay, that's fair. But we got to vote somebody in, though.
Well, I really think we need to vote the people. The people is us. We need
So,
to take control over this and see how we can fix all these dream sellers.
uh-huh. I'm just putting a little, what's the dream sellers? Tell me about a dream seller.
The dream sellers is they get up here and tell you what they're gonna do for the city, what they're gonna do for the country, what they're gonna do for the world. And then when they get in office, we still struggling from every mayor, every president, every congressman, woman, every senator, man and woman. It's just that, come on, man, we need to get the people in there. It's going to be a man, a woman, of their word. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them is not a man or a woman of their word. You know what I mean? Because if we, why every year, every 4 years, we need to switch up and keep, we got to vote, we got to vote, we got to vote. But when we vote, it's still the same chaos. Ain't nothing changed. You know what I mean? And nobody really,
Mm-hmm.
really G checking the truth.
Right. That's why we out here now trying
Yeah.
to figure out who should be the mayor. So we just went over the fact that we've got four potential mayors of the city. There's five because there's another guy that's running. I'm not sure of his name, but there's another guy that's running. So Cuomo is saying, listen, they gotta stop Mom Dami because the Democratic Socialists of America are moving in really quick. So Cuomo is saying, listen, I'm going to be a big man. He wasn't a big man to stay out the race because he said, I got about 450,000 people who voted for me. So, that's going to travel to November. But now he's saying, listen, if whoever is behind in the polls, okay, is who is now going, he wants everybody else to drop out. So if he's up in the polls, he wants Mayor Adams and Curtis Sewell to drop out so they can compound the numbers. Remember, this is a numbers game. So they can compound the numbers about what's going on. Sorry if you hear the grass guy. So they can compound the numbers going forward. But that's just Cuomo saying it. I don't think Adams is dropping out of the race. I know Curtis was not dropping out of the race. So we've got four viable, supposedly candidates. Who are you voting for, cousin?
Who I'm voting for? A.B. Butler and Jania Butler. That's who I'm voting for. You know what I mean? It's
We
like
going to the White House with this.
this is a G check.
This is a
It
pure
don't
G.
matter who we vote for because it's going to be the same BS.
No, you
You
can't
know,
take that
yeah,
approach.
you know,
What
no.
I'm saying,
Listen, I know you don't want to state your age, and I don't want to state mine, but at the end of the day, it's been the same over and over again.
well, you're
You
right.
know,
But
it's
they
been the
played
same.
musical chairs.
We still struggling. At the end of the day, we still struggling. Job wise, living wise, money wise.
Right, but we've got to figure out how to pick the right candidate that's going to move the
But
needle forward.
let me ask you a question. This is a G check. What is the right candidate? Because we can sit here and talk this G check, the new American, but what is the right candidate? You know what I
I
mean? It's like
like
every
candidate
time.
doing what you say is
Hmm?
doing what they say they're going to do and
Well,
stop making
but at the end of the day,
promises.
cuz none of them really been doing what they said they gonna do. You know what I mean? Look, COVID-19, they shot everybody up with them drugs to kill us slowly.
Slowly.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
And we supposed to be voting these people in and believing in them. It's the same thing. The same thing with I'm using Puff Fat Joe as the example. You bring people in your circle, and the same people in your circle be trying later on trying to burn you.
Right.
So that's the same thing with this politics. You know what I mean? It's like, who do we trust?
100%. One
Yeah,
100%. And
that's a
that's
G
that's
check.
the real question. That's the real G check is who can we trust? Everybody is going to give us, the song and dance about what they can do, what they will do. And Zohan, he's telling a lot of people a lot of things. Remember, he's going for the rent freeze. He's going for free buses, city owned supermarkets, and a lot of stuff that you really can't do. And he's now saying, listen, I'm going to raise the rent and you're going to stay. And see what happens in socialism is that the reason why they think New York is going to fall apart if this young man gets in is because socialism depends on the hierarchy of the billionaires and the millionaires and taking all their money and spreading it out to everybody else. And so I don't know what America he's living in, but our millionaires and billionaires are not having that. And that's why, this socialist movement is going across. You got Bernie Sanders, they're going to step up now. Mark my words. You got Andrea Ocasio Cortez going to run against Chuck Schumer. You got Hakeem Jeffries came out today and he said, "Oh, well, I have a meeting with the Democratic candidate on Friday, and I don't plan on meeting with Cuomo and Mayor Adams." So they already said that they were going to primary some people against Hakeem Jeffries. So he said, no, 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 don't do that. We can sit down and we could talk. So, this is a numbers game. It's a punk game at the end of the day because you've got to bend to what is going to keep you in office. And that is part of the problem. And we need people who really don't care about that. We need people who really don't care about being in office, but really doing the right thing. And so that's the catch
Exactly.
22.
Exactly. Let's find the people that gonna play team ball. Team, not snake ball, not the crab ball, not none of that. Let's find the people that want to do the work and change the city, the world. You understand? Not the
Yeah.
ones that just want to get in office and have a pension taking care of the rest of their
I
life.
mean, who doesn't
This
want
a G
that?
check. We all want a pension to take care of our family. Like I say, it's enough paper. I'm not saying money because the only thing it is paper. It's enough paper to go around. You know what I mean? You got people. Matter of fact, this is a G check. We drove to the Hamptons. You got all these pretty houses out there. Nobody living in. I said that. It's like, yo, we sit around and take, but we really don't give back. And the ones that giving back that look like us, they don't get to shine. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
nothing
It's
ever
like
happened.
against the
But
law to do that.
huh?
Like against the law to give back and do right by the person that gives back. But let's do this. Let's take a break really quick. Then we're going to come right back with more New American Perspective and more G Check. We'll be right back with you here on Millennium News 24. See you in a minute. And we
We
are
are
back.
back.
Yes, this is your New American Perspective with AB Butler and Jania Butler here talking about what's going on around the world, around New York, around the country. We got so much going on. So now let's tap into your guy, Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump, the Epstein files, right? Now, Epstein supposedly had hung himself in the Rikers Island jail. Okay,
He
I
ain't
used
hang
to work
himself.
on Rikers Island. Would you say?
He ain't hang himself.
I'm sure he didn't. How do you hang yourself when you're on suicide watch and there's nothing to hang yourself on? And they said that he hung
Exactly.
himself on the bunk beds, and the time that they have the guards walking around when you're on suicide watch. You're on suicide watch, so you can't commit suicide.
Yeah,
So
I was on Rikers Island, so I know.
right. And I've been there. I've been in there, and it's really harsh and difficult to say that that's something that happened, but that's what they say happened. They say
Mhm.
that he actually committed suicide in the jail, and so the Trump administration has been touting that they're going to release the Epstein files. It was all a part of their whole process. Oh, we're going to release the Epstein files, and we're going to see this list, and we're going to see this, and we're going to see that. And so now Pam Bondi, right, the attorney general, she was supposed to go over everything that they seen on the list. She was supposed to go on over everything that they seen on the list, and she was supposed to go over everything and then release the files, like they're releasing the Martin Luther King files, they're releasing the JFK files, and everybody else wanted the Epstein files. So now Pam Bondi is saying, actually, there was no list. We've been talking about this list for the last 2-3 years, but actually, I just want to remind you, there's not a list. So we thought we saw one, we actually didn't see one. So they're trying to put it to rest. G check the situation, because
Let me say this.
on as we're doing that.
It's a G check. It's always a list on trying to bring the man that they said allegedly hung himself in a foul. They got fouls on everybody. So if you worry about that, let's bring the fouls out on 9/11. Let's bring the fouls out on Malcolm X. Let's bring the fouls out on Martin Luther King. Let's bring the fouls out on all the young black kids that got hung in the South. Let's just bring all the fouls out. That's a G check. Just bring all the fouls out and really not take little pieces out. Show the whole world what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like you could scan it, put it on social media because that's where everybody gonna look at it at. So put everything on social media where everybody can see the file. Read the file.
Well, that's what they're saying that they wanted to do, but now all of a sudden these files that you're talking about have gone missing.
Of course, a lot of things come missing when it's dealing with burning the other people. You know what I mean? So of course they gonna come up missing. We know that all day long. If you don't understand that, I don't even know what to say.
Well, yeah, so they're missing. But now look, the Republicans are not letting that go. The Republicans are saying, "Oh hell no. We didn't talk our way all the way to this. We didn't Cash Patel and Dan Bordino Borgino, that's part of the FBI, head of the FBI. They said, "Oh hell no." They was about to fight Pam Bondi at the White House the other day. They had a huge falling out behind the Epstein files, behind the release of the Epstein files. And so Cash Patel was like, "Look, I'm about to quit." And Dan Bongino said, "I'm quitting if those files don't come out. If Bondi don't go, I'm out of here." Okay, and so they're having their fits over there because Cash Patel and Dan Bongino, they were they were on their podcast right before they were hired by President Trump, talking about the Epstein files and how they can't wait to see everybody's names on that list. But Pam Bondi said something had happened. She said what had happened was there's no files. So, I guess there's no files. And Trump is trying to sweep it under the table too. They're saying, well, Trump, was your name going to be on the files? You think that your name were in the files? He said, so Trump, he knew Epstein and he admitted that he knew Epstein. And what he said was that he hadn't talked to him 12 years prior because they were doing a deal and Epstein came to him and asked him about buying land, and Trump went ahead and put in, say for instance, the land was 25 million and Epstein put up a bid and Trump put up a $30 million bid so he said he had never spoke to him after that. So he denies being in the mix of those tapes and things like that. But Giselle Maxwell, who's in jail right now, can definitely, speak to a list. And I think that people are trying to reach out to her to see what her script is because she's locked up right now doing time for the Epstein piece.
Yeah,
So,
well, me personally, a G check, she shouldn't even be locked up. You get where I'm coming from?
why
Because
you
at the
say
end
that?
of the day, you got so many people do worse things than she did, you know what I mean? And they ain't locked up. I don't
Well, this
feel
is
she need to
child
be locked
sex
up.
trafficking. So you can't say that the worst things than that because that's, about the worst that you could do is child sex trafficking and bringing kids to meet with adults who want to suck their blood and, treat them like whatever they're
So let
doing.
me let
That's
me
what.
ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. The way this world is, the people that we talking about, let's be honest with you. They could tell us anything, and then you got people. I'm not saying you. This is a G check. You got people that believe everything they hear. So I don't believe anything they say till I see it myself. The cosign anything when they want to burn somebody. Cause trust me, I've been around the system where how they burn you and you ain't really deserve to get burned. So me personally, I don't believe a word none of these people say. You get where I'm coming from? Because they like they always say, oh, New Yorkers, y'all slick talkers, y'all this and that. What do you think the government is? Slick talkers.
G check, G
That's a
check,
G
G
check.
check.
You know what I mean? Let's be real with it. We just so blind and we just afraid to speak up and say, nah, it ain't this, it ain't that. I don't believe the young lady need to be locked up. I really think she need to be free because you got a lot of other people that worked in this government need to be locked up.
Well, she did a lot. She did a lot
But
of
she,
the
but at the end
recruit.
of the day, cause it's a
Can't
G
recruit
check.
kids.
We don't know
You
what
can't
she
recruit
did. This
kids
is
to
what
say
this
we
is what
do know
they
that.
saying she did, huh?
There was facts that recruited and took these kids. Now, there were facts behind that. That's why Epstein committed suicide. But what we don't know
How
is
we know he
the
committed
information.
suicide? You know what I
Huh?
mean? Let's let's
We don't
let's
know.
say this. This is a G chat. Let's say this. If you wasn't in that cell with him, or you wasn't a guy sitting in front of his cell watching him, at the end of the day, you don't know if he committed suicide. See,
I'm
this is
saying,
how the word traveled. Oh, he committed suicide. So guess what? Now you said, cause he committed suicide. Like basically everybody said what. So at the end of the day, if he committed suicide, the person that sat right there and heard this man hang himself, as they say, allegedly, you
mm-hmm,
get where I'm coming from? Would have
mm-hmm.
heard him, you know what I mean? So you sat right there and let this man kill himself. But at the end of the day, if you wasn't that rat or that fly or that roach or that
We
bed,
don't know what happened.
you wasn't there. So you can't say he committed suicide because you wasn't there. And
But we
that's
don't
what
know where
we,
he's at.
as a G check, that's what we got to stop doing.
Right.
That's
I
a G
agree.
check.
It's a G check, and I agree. I don't know what happened to him. I don't think
Exactly.
that he
That
committed
sound better.
suicide. I
Allegedly.
Yes, I don't think that he committed suicide at all, but I know that they had a trafficking ring and they were trafficking kids to an island, remote island. They have that because they have the plane logs, they have all the stuff. They convicted that young lady, Giselle Maxwell, of child sex trafficking. So she is definitely guilty, and she hasn't been talking. But lastly, the plane, the list that they're talking about, she could bring some light to that if somebody asked her, and I'm sure for the right price she would talk about it. But the Republicans are just now saying, listen, Mike Johnson, he's saying, listen, just open up the files and let us see the files, or just let us see what's in there, so we'll see what happened. That's developing. And next on the Trump front, okay, he has now, the Supreme Court has ruled in his favor, where he can now fire 1,400 Department of Education workers out of D.C., where we know that in the past that he's been talking about dismantling the Department of Education. Okay, and so now he is literally going for that. So he's going to take out 1,400 employees at the Department of Education. Now, everybody's like, oh my God, you're going to dismantle the Department of Education. But let me just give you a good look into this. How are our kids performing through the Department of Education? They're not doing well, especially in our community. Our community is having 60, 70% of dropout rates in urban communities. So when we talk about saving the Department of Education just because this is what we're used to, maybe we need to change how that is set up, because obviously our kids are not learning. Our kids do not want to be in school, and the Department of Education as is not sending our kids down the right route and guiding them in the right way, because they're not excelling, they're not graduating, and we really got to take a look at this. And so, dismantling the Department of Education and giving it to the states, I think, is a better look. And so what you see Trump doing is trying to look at all the places that we can cut corners, where America is spending our tax earned dollars in crazy ways, and we're just used to the comfortable and used to the norm. But Trump is running America like a corporation. What say you, cousin?
It's a G check. Basically, what Trump's saying is we don't need the education department because in a couple more years, everything gonna be run by robots.
Mm.
So what do we really need the education? You know what I mean? If the kids learning, they not learning. We getting ready to run the world by robots. So they getting ready, like they say, they firing people, taking away the jobs. And that's what's going on. That's a G check. But at the same time, you got kids is learning. It's just a simple fact where we put the problem on the teachers, but everything starts from the house. You get where I'm coming from? So, but at this time and age and the way this world is, you got parents can't stay home and teach their kids, help them, because at the end of the day, let's be honest, you could catch a cold and take a couple of days off, but the bills is not stopping. The bills don't get sick. The bills do not get sick.
Are you right about
That's
that?
a G check. You get where I'm coming from? So it don't matter how much you get sick, how much you take care, how many days you take off. Them bills ain't taking off. You get where I'm coming from? So at the end of the day, it's like, okay, they keep taking, where we not making. So what is the world gonna come into where we gonna be starving like we already are,
Uh-huh.
starving? Only certain people that got it they got it. But at the end of the day, the way the world ain't telling y'all and y'all not listening and y'all not understanding this big G check, they want to robot the world. They want to take the humans out the workplace, the education. You know what I mean? Let's listen. If you really want to investigate why y'all keep building so many prisons. And I understand why we need the prisons or whatever sometime, for the murderers, the rapists, the child molesters. But these petty crimes, you know what I mean? It's not worth it. You could have 30, you could have 15 prisons to fill it up with the murders, the child molesters, and this and that. You could do that. It don't take around the globe. The prison system is crazy. You know what I mean? That's where all the money is really going. And that's the reason why we sit back and say they taking this, they taking that, because think about it. I want y'all to sit down and think about it. If you can't think, close your eyes and think and have common sense. If you don't work, how you gonna get money? How you gonna pay your bills? You
Well,
gotta
hold
go.
that
You
thought
gotta
for
go
a
to the
second,
streets.
cousin. So we
That's a
could
G
go
check.
to that's a pure G check. That was a real lesson in it. Let's go to a break and we'll come back with more the New American Perspective, Dr. Butler in the G check, and we'll be right back on Millennium News 24.
That's a G check.
And we are back with your New American Perspective. Today, Wednesday, top of the afternoon. I'm here with Dr. A.B. Butler and the G Check, and I'm your girl, fly girl, Lady J, here on Millennium News 24. And we getting it in today. We talking about what is happening post Diddy. So now we're post Diddy now. It's no Diddy trial everywhere and kind of had us crazy for a little while. So Diddy is back in his cell and he is now taking drug treatment and domestic violence treatment ahead of his sentencing. Now, cousin, how do you think that that's going to work with his sentencing coming up? Do you think the judge is going to clear him and let him go because he jumped into the drug treatment and the domestic violence training there on in the Brooklyn federal prison?
Well, this is a G check. I'm glad he jumped on it. Either way, they give him time or not, he gonna take it, and he gonna get time, knocked down for the halfway house to read, what I mean, the drug program, stuff like that. But I'm glad he jumped on it because at the end of the day, I really think that man should have got bailed out. Cassidy and her team playing mind games where she afraid, but she really not afraid. Now she going through a lawsuit with the guys that she dealt with and she had the freak offs with. So I'm just trying to see is they gonna give Cassidy a RICO charge since she, you know, got
No,
on the stand against
about her.
Sean. Huh?
Feds, it wasn't about her. The feds are not going to spend that kind of money on a sex piece for the women, and it might be biased. It might be, a double.
But they did it for Diddy. Why now they won't do it
I'm
for
saying
her?
it's a G check, and it might be a double standard, but they're not going to do that. Like we
Double
don't have
standard.
we don't have
The
that.
government listen, this is a G check. The government do a lot of double
Oh,
standards. So it's nothing new. That's a G check.
please. So, let's see, where should we go? So there was a flood in New York yet again the other day in the subway system. So a lot of people saw, water gushing into the one train downtown. People were taking videos where water is just coming gushing into it onto the train, and we had about 2.67 inches of rain in an hour in New
Mm.
York City, and that's too much. It's, the system can't handle it. So when we're talking about paying $9 to $15 for congestion pricing, paying $3 to get on one way to go somewhere throughout the city, and then you're on a train and you see water gushing down the looking like it's going to bury you type of water. So rats, roaches, everything is going through this water. I can't even imagine sewage water. What is in that water? I don't know. But I just it makes me sick and it makes me cringe, because how could, if we're paying this amount of money to move around the city, how is now the city now underwater and under siege from water from some rainfall that's too much? Now they said over the last 4 years we've gotten the most rainfall that we've gotten in about the last 100 years. Now the New York City train system is actually about 100 years old. And so they're saying the infrastructure in there, they've got the grates and the, 472 stations, and, they got the grates, and the water goes in the grates, it clogs it up, and the drain is not good enough to handle all this water. So it flushes back. G, check it for me, cousin.
Cause I love this. You know, I love this right here. This is a G check, right? The G is gold, right? G is the government. So at the end of the day, G is greedy. You know what I mean? So like I say, cuz they once again, I said to you over and over again, it's just talk. They just want to be greed. New York is greed. The
Mm-hmm.
people is in position is greed. So at the end of the day, they explain to you they made all this money off the congestion price.
Right.
So you made all that money off of congestion price. But where the money is sitting in the bank where you saying, oh, we made all this money. Y'all just get on the news. Oh, congestion price made this, congestion price made that. But once again, G check. Stop talking and do your job. You know what I mean? Real talk. Stop talking how much money you made. Put the money and show us what's going on in the world of New York City. The streets is toe up. So this is why I tell my cousin, we're gonna ride around, get the cameraman, and start going to the hoods and everywhere they keep talking about congestion price. What they gonna do when they get this money to fix the subway? Oh, the subway got 3 million people riding now. The money is up here and that. But guess what? It sound good. But at the end of the day, this is a big, big, big Like my man Fat Joe used to say, big, 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 big G check. It's like you're not doing nothing. Y'all just looking at the account like it's your account. So let's stop talking. But what me and cousin gonna do, we gonna go around these New York streets, these highways, and show you that they just be talking because there's a lot of roads out here ain't getting the love of the G check or nothing. They just let it go, go, go. They might put the camera. This is what it is. It's just like I'm gonna use a human as this. You get a scratch on your body, but you fall. You get about 4 or 5 scratches. You just put a bandage on one situation and show your mom, I got a bandage over here. That's what they doing. The governor, the guy from the MTA, y'all just get on the news just to be famous and heard that you're really not doing nothing for the money that y'all keep saying y'all getting.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Collecting
this is
all
a
this
G
money.
check.
Complete G check. They're collecting all this money, and uh, manholes are sprouting up with water like a geyser throughout New York City, and um, it's just it just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
We need to G check that situation and come and see what's going on in the 472 subway stations.
Yeah.
Okay, just to turn the page just a little bit, they had to, but before I go, they had to pump 15 million pounds of water out of the subway system just now. They had to pump 15 million. I blows my mind. But that's what they did. And but the riders again, you seen them riding underwater, and it looked like they was outside of the Holland Tunnel. Okay, so now Shaquille O'Neal. Remember our good friend Shaquille O'Neal, LA Lakers, Orlando Magic, all the teams that he played in across the nation. So now he is the head of Reebok. And so him and Allen Iverson run the Reebok headquarters now, and they have been picking up some players. Now, one of the players that they picked up was Angel Reese. Does anybody know who Angel Reese is? Of course, Angel Reese is the second year WNBA standout young lady who played for LSU, went to the Final Four a few years in a row, actually beat Caitlin Clark, one of the people who beat Caitlin Clark. Caitlin is the great white hope in the WNBA. And so Angel has always been, she did this in front of Angel, and they didn't know,
It's Tony Yayo.
yeah, she did the yayo in front of him. You can't see me, and then they just been beating her up ever since. Young black woman beating her up. Now she is a little active, right? She came out. She wanted to be the cutest one, 6'6" or something like that in the WNBA. She's out everywhere. We see her everywhere. She's making her brand top. Okay. And so she's playing pretty good. She's got her numbers, double doubles. She's breaking records. Great, 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 great. Okay. But a lot of people don't like her because of her war between her and Caitlin Clark. So Caitlin, she's been getting injured a few times. They had a little scuffle on the court and everything like that. But Angel Reese is the talk of the town. Everybody's saying, well, Angel Reese needs to do less talking, needs to do less showing up here and making some layups. So she wasn't making her layups. Now she's making her layups. She's just a second year WNBA pro, coming right out of college, and she's been active ever since. So Shaquille O'Neal has picked her up for Reebok, and her shoe just came out for Reebok, I think maybe last week, couple weeks ago. So everybody is still talking about Angel Reese and this and that. So RG3, who is a former NFL player for the Washington
Redskins.
Oh, they're
The
not the
Commanders.
the Commanders. They're not the Redskins
Well,
anymore. Don't
when
be
he was
talking about
playing, he was
skinning
playing
no
under the
red people.
Redskins.
Don't be talking about skinning no red people. I'm an Indian. You're an Indian. They no red skin. It's a Commander. So he used to play for them when they were the Redskins, by the way. So
Exactly.
when they were
Exactly.
the Redskins.
He wasn't. He
So
wasn't a part of the Commander team.
yeah, no, he wasn't a part of that. So he now has a podcast and he's been blasting Angel Reese because of everything going on. So Shaq said, ho, 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 ho. He said, listen, my man, let me tell you something, RG3. If you mention Angel Reese one more time in your Twitter, in your text, across the board, I'm going to smack you.
Mm.
Big Shackton came out of hiding and said, listen, I don't like to do this, but this is a nice, beautiful young lady. She's trying to do her thing. Stop trying to tear her down. But now we know that part of this is because of, Shaq and the Reebok brand, right? So he's telling him basically, stop trying to mess up my brand by talking about my little young girl.
Mm-hmm.
He said, listen, I tell Angel Reese not to respond to you because she's a real chick from the hood and all of that, and she want to come see you, but I tell her not to respond. So now I'm telling you not to respond with the Super G check. Talk about it, cousin.
This is a super G check. You know what I mean? It's so sad to say over and over again. When it comes to us, we always want to put the knife in somebody's back that look just
Mm.
like us. And real talk, when somebody's not doing good or they feel that they not in that situation, that's what they do. They become Pat Man. Chaba 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 chaba. So the G check is it's sad that that's somebody's daughter, first of all. That's somebody's sister. That's somebody's niece. So, and I understand, I respect you, Shaq, for standing up for the young lady. You know what I mean? And I realize we hate each other no matter what we do, no matter what position we get in. That's what we know best. To try to tear down somebody that looked just like you. That could be your daughter. That could be your aunt. But at the end of the day, I understand that we don't respect each other and we don't love each other and we hate the way we look and win. Whenever somebody win, no matter in our culture, they put the horns on and they start attacking. They
Oh,
start attacking.
they're definitely going at her. And
But the best way on this is a G check is just keep winning. That's all you gotta do. You ain't got to respond. Just keep winning. That hurt people more than anything in the world because of you don't have to respond when you're a winner. That's a G check.
that's a super G check. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back for our last segment here on Millennium News 24 with this week's New American Perspective. And we're running out of time, but we are talking about it. So we will be right back in a flash of an eye here on Millennium News 24 with your New American Perspective and your G check. And we
We
are
are
back
back.
with your we are back with the New American Perspective and your G check. Now, my battery is running low, so I might um I might have to let Dr. Butler do our closing for our hour. Um yeah, but because I can't, there's no reaching, it. So let's just talk about Stephen A. Smith. We're gonna give our last few minutes about Stephen to Stephen A. Smith. Um, we're going to give our last minutes to Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith may be leaving ESPN. So we know that Stephen A. Smith had $100 million contract from ESPN. Now that's not so much because Stephen A. Let me see. I'm trying to see how far I got to go over. So now Stephen A. He had a problem with one of his co-hosts, and now they took him off air, and so we don't see Stephen A. So he got that $100 million contract, and I told everybody here on the New American Perspective that Stephen A. was trying to go into politics, and I don't think that everybody likes it. And now Stephen A. is in a place where I think that they're shutting him down. Shut him down. Shut him down. And so now Stephen A. is scrambling because, well, he's not scrambling. He's saying that he needed the time. They said that he was playing solitaire game 4 and that he will no longer be covering the basketball games for ESPN at going forward because they caught him playing solitaire and really just not paying attention and really just off and basically doing too much. Okay. So I think that he got that 100 million. He started running around and doing his thing and feeling himself and talking crazy. And LeBron then ran up on him and everybody's starting to shut down on him. And now ESPN, they've got a 5-year deal, $100 million with him. But is it going to last? We don't know.
Well, let me G check this, right? While you reach and get your cord, right? So the G check is people that get situations, the more money they get, people change. I know a lot of people that got this money, they change. You can see over life they change. Their whole attitude change. They get cocky. They become something they really not. But it's just that it don't matter the money. It don't matter how many zeros they put it behind you. It's really not. It's really nothing but paper. So you got to always remember the key thing is, and this is a G check, a big, 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 big G check, right? You got to understand, respect yourself and always never change, no matter how much money you get, because at that moment, you still is a human being where they could take anything away from you at any moment. So don't never think that you that special and you that important that you not replaceable. Cause everybody that look like us, you always replaceable. They could definitely put somebody else in your seat, your shoes, and this and that because they look at it this way. I made you. I created you. I put you in that situation. I made that opportunity. So when you understand when the key thing is make yourself and respect yourself. And it don't matter what you do, how you move on it, how you go about it. At the end of the day, always remember, if you didn't make yourself and somebody else made you and somebody paying you, don't forget that. You know what I mean? Because most of the times, a lot of brothers don't have real dudes like myself to remind y'all that you in a great position, but always remind you that great position could be taken at any moment. Don't matter how powerful you are at that moment. And this is the key thing. This is a G check too. Your mother, always listen to your mother and father because they give you a sign to say you can fly high. No matter how high you fly, you got to come down and eat. And when you come down to eat, those where the snakes at. So you can't feel that you special than anybody else because one day you're gonna be in the same seat that we all in, where we started. Because you got a lot of people in this entertainment world that we in that feel that it can never happen to them. And look at some of the greatest. It happens all the time, you know? So I'm just saying the G check is don't never forget where you come from and never get comfortable in the seat that you in. Cause guess what? It's musical chairs. They can play with you at any moment. You know, it don't matter you feel, oh, I'm this, I'm that. Nah, bro. You just sitting in the hot seat. And when it get too hot, they're gonna pull you out the oven and put somebody else in that position and boost them up where you was at. And you gonna be on the other side looking like, yo, that dude didn't like once again, like homeboy become a hater. You know, everybody become a hater. The ones that say they love you, they become the haters. Only thing you gotta do is we just sometimes we got to realize this, right? We gotta take time out and look at the mistakes of everybody that made mistakes in their life. You get where I'm coming from? So I just want to let y'all know, people, and I know my cousin phone died, and this is a G check. I just want to let y'all know that don't get in the hot seat and think you too good, you unreplaceable, and it can never happen to you because I'm hot. People need me. I'm in this position. Ain't nobody could touch me. Everybody touchable. Remember that, you know? So Stephen A. Smith.
I'm
Oh,
back.
guess who back? Guess
See,
who's back?
I got my crooked on. I got my crooked girl on because I have to be by the plug. So excuse my lay. But so before we go today, I want to say rest in peace to a great legend in the hip hop community and the comedy community, Ray Dijon. And I wanted to give us a couple minutes to talk about Ray because he passed away a day before his birthday on July 13th this year. He was supposed to have a roast on the 16th. And Ray was a great friend to all in music and entertainment. And he hosted everything and he promoted until the day that he passed away and got his wings. And so, cousin, I know that you've known Ray for a long time. I've known him for a long time. Tell us a little bit about what your Ray story.
Well, I'm gonna give you a race story. You know, when he used to do comedy in Queens and the Bronx, I pull up one day and one of the young ladies, I don't know if it was his girl or one of his friends, was like, "Yo, hey, come to the comedy. You know, I want you to meet Ray and this and that." I was like, "I pull up." I get there. They had another girl at the table. She wanna, like, once again, Stephen A. Smith story. They get a situation, they go straight to their brain, and I had to tell her like, yo, I said, love, let me explain something to you. I'm not cocky. I'm not this and that. Somebody invited me that worked with Ray. Just go get the young lady where we don't have to go play this tennis just back and forth. And and Ray walked up and he was like, yo, young man, but I had my back turned. I turned around. He was like, yo, hey, what's up? I said, nah, this young lady here, you know, trying to, you know, acting like I'm on some groupie moment. But, you know, shout out to Ray, Uncle Ralph, and the Music Box Kev. You know, he's going to be missed. But at the same time, the G check is why everybody out here living, doing what they doing. Stop acting like, you know, till somebody pass away, y'all really act like y'all mystical. Because once again, to the life of the story is we're gonna do it all over again, and we're gonna keep going to do it all over. we got to stop meeting at a funeral. Then right after the funeral, same old thing. But listen, that's a G check. Let my cousin get it because I know.
Yeah. I got a good one. So I met Ray probably back in like 2000 or 2001 when I worked on Rikers Island. So he formerly worked on Rikers Island. And so one of my partner that ran the Sprungs with me, if you know the said program, Ray would come over to the jails to speak to the guys. And my partner said, and this was early when I was getting into the game, he says, my partner says, oh, this is the guy you need to talk to, Ray. He need to give back and whoop, 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 whoop. So I met him and, kept in contact with him. And then he came to one of my first events with a school that I was working with in the Bronx when I was doing my school programs and bringing in hip hop people to the school program. So Ray was one of the first people that said yes to me and came to my program. So I love him. I miss him already. And then lastly, right before he had launched the Brooklyn comedy piece, he came to me and he said, let's do comedy at LIU. I think this is perfect because LIU wouldn't allow the outside factors in at the point, but like let's do it, da da da. So I got a chance to see him. I got a chance to hear the vision from day one, and he rolled out that vision of the Laughaholics and the Brooklyn comedy, and actually now has that shop over at his comedy store over at 275 Park Place. And again, he will be missed. Shout out to you, Ray Dijon. Thank you for everything. Thank you for just being you and till the very end. When they say die empty, I think that Ray Dijon died empty because he left it all on the stage and on the floor and on the mic. So that's our show today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in with us. We look forward to seeing you next week. We look forward to hearing from you. Tap into the comments at AB Butler 914 on all social media, at Jania Butler on social media. Tap in, follow us. Let's make this movement big. Let's make our perspectives the next the next perspective of the world. And this is the ultimate G check. We will see you next week.